Hello there, Hot Rod. How are you today, Jaw? Good. Can you hold down the fort while Breck and I go out and do a vlog? Excellent, buddy. We'll see you in a little bit. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. And once again, we're coming to you from the gigantic state of Texas. All right, today's vlog is a pretty wacky story. And when I read about it, I said, you know, we got to go vlog this. And I thought it was just crazy enough. It makes a perfect Patreon sunglass vlog. So Debbie Jackson, I hope you enjoy this. Breck from Escaping the Mouse and I are going to go out and we're going to go see the grave of Jesse James. Yep, we're heading about an hour and a half northwest of Waco to find the grave of a man who claimed to be Jesse James, who lived to be 104 years old. Hello, Lake Waco. Yeah, I know what you're wondering, Breck. How can we be going to see Jesse James' grave out here in Texas when it says he was buried in 1951, but we all know he was shot in 1882?
I had the same question about Billy the Kid.
Well, I'll explain it when we get out here.
I'm sure you will.
Wow, take a look at that. I don't know about you, Breck, but I love these back road drives. Nice boot. All right, we've made it to Granbury, our destination. All right, let's see if we can find the man who went by J. Frank Dalton, and then in the last 3 years of his life, confessed to being Jesse James, famous outlaw. So here we have a sign that kind of points out where it's located and makes it a little easy. Jesse James gravesite. And here it is. Now you'll see that it says Jesse Woodson James on here. But originally it was a slab that said J. Frank Dalton. Now, the story behind this is that some people believe he was just a hoax Jesse James. Some people believe that he was the real Jesse James. There was a man who at one point even got Jesse James' grandsons or great-grandsons to help petition him to exhume the body here. So the story was that the man who is buried here went by the name J. Frank Dalton. And when he was 100 years old, he finally came out and said that he was the real Jesse James. He signed an affidavit saying that he was and telling who his family was, who his father was, who his brother was, and swearing that that's who he was. Now what he said was that he was basically, when the original killing happened, the deal was that they believed that, well, there had always been a thought that that wasn't really Jesse's body, and that had kind of been a rumor for a long time. And he confirmed, and he said what happened was that there was a man named Charlie Bigelow who was out. There were two stories actually. There was one that he was an undercover Pinkerton guard who was out committing robberies and kind of leaving clues that it was Jesse James, basically setting himself up to be a fake Jesse James. Now the story that Frank told, or John Frank told, was that he met Charlie Bigelow and his wife. They were looking for a house to rent. He looked enough like Jesse, and Jesse had a house that he wasn't using, so he offered to let them use it. Now, the man who's credited John Ford as killing Jesse James, apparently Jesse said that he was out in his barn and heard gunshots go off inside the house. When he came in, John Ford was standing over Charlie Bigelow, shot him dead, and Jesse got the idea, hey, this is my chance to go free. So he said, John, you tell him that that was me you killed. I'll get my mom to say that's me that they killed, and you take care of the Bigelow wife, and I'm out of here. And he said basically that he took off. He went through Kansas City, he caught a boat in New Orleans and spent a couple of decades down in Brazil, then eventually finding his way back up to Oklahoma, where he said that he became a local legislator in Oklahoma under the name J. Frank Dalton. Now here's where it gets a little crazy, because J. Frank Dalton is the older brother of the Dalton gang, and he is credited as being killed in 1887. So a lot of the theories were that this guy wasn't J. Frank Dalton and he wasn't Jesse James, that he was just a con man who really had no background that anyone knew of and then adopted this later on in life. Now they said that the family members had, when he came out and said that he was Jesse James, at 102, some of the family members came and questioned him and said that a lot of his recollections didn't match up, but a lot of the physical things about him did match up with what they said about Jesse James, that he had a collapsed lung, and that he had 7 gunshot wounds, that he had rope burn around his neck, that he had a kind of a weird finger, that he had burned feet. So they ended up exhuming the body in Missouri. What they believed there, they never came up with a 100% match, but they said that they had no reason to believe that there was any doubt that it was Jesse James, and that when they did the exhumation, that they said that it was either Jesse James, someone that shared Jesse James' DNA in the family, in his family lineage, or it was someone that somehow happened to have the exact same DNA as him. Now, they petitioned here to have the man buried here exhumed, and in 2000 they did. And when they did that, here's what's crazy, is that they said there were 2 caskets buried under here. Since they only had authorization to exhume one, they took the one closest to the headstone, and that they found out to be a one-armed man who was a citizen here of Granville, and of Granbury, and that it wasn't Jesse James. Now all the locals say it's because you dug up the wrong body, and even the locals say he's not buried here at all, that the actual body, that somehow the markers have been mixed up, and that the actual body of the real J. Frank Dalton, or the real Jesse James, is in this cemetery somewhere, but not buried here. I tell you, it does not get any crazier than this. Now, he actually like I said, he signed an affidavit saying that he was Jesse James, and he gave interviews in local papers that you can find if you search back through. And all the people at that time in this town seemed to believe that this was the legitimate, real Jesse James. And so the people that had his body exhumed here, they believe since the wrong body was tested, that we may never really know the true answer. That some people believe this second casket down here could be him. Some people believe that he's somewhere in this cemetery altogether. And some people believe that he's buried in Missouri, the way the story is always unfolded. This seems to be a reoccurring trend, because when we went to Hico, Texas, we saw the same story almost exactly about Billy the Kid, that there was a man there claiming that he faked his death and that he went off and survived, and then at the end of his life was proclaiming to be the real Billy the Kid. I don't know. The mystery will remain unsolved, I guess, but they said, at least in this case, since he went by Jesse James at the end of his life, that's what they decided to put on this headstone. Originally it said J. Frank Dalton, but they changed it to Jesse James. And then if you read here, the very, very close part of the headstone, it says supposedly killed in 1882. I think I said 1884, sorry. So a lot of people say that he held on to being J. Frank Dalton until they proved that he wasn't, and then he adopted this alias at the age of 100 years old. So this is shrouded in a lot of mystery. So I don't think there will ever be another exhuming of the body here, because the original time that they tried to do it, they were originally denied and then had to repetition it and barely got it accepted. And just with the proof of the first one being able to be discovered as it was the one-armed gentleman who lived in this town, they probably wouldn't be able to get or find enough proof to cause a warrant to be dug back up. I think almost every single gunfighter that I've ever done a vlog on, there's a story connected to this where they faked their death or it wasn't the right person. What do you think, Breck? Who do you think's buried there?
I don't know. I suppose it could be. You know, you never know. It could just be some, you know, huckster. You know, never know.
All right, my friends, we're gonna call it a day. Hope you're all intrigued by the vlog today. I'm sure everyone has an opinion. Go ahead and leave your comments below as to what you think really happened. Thank you, Daniela Mueller, Kirsten Lyle, Bill Butchert, Sean Sully. Thank you all for becoming Patreons. We'll see you all later. Goodbye.